Gardeners is a simultaneous co-op game where players are trying to build gardens within the time limit and in silence. The king is picky and wants to make sure his garden is the best in the kingdom, so you'll have to follow his rules. Now let's jump into setup. Give each player the same amount of garden tiles and place them face up in a stack in front of you. Shuffle the constraint cards and make a face down deck. Place a sand timer next to the deck and you're now ready to play. Each round consists of 3 phases: draw, arrange, and check the garden. In the first round, the first player will draw a card and look at the constraints. Then they will place it face down for all players to see the type of constraints there are. It will range from A, B, or C and will have an image to help players. Then they will turn the timer over. At the start of the next round, the next player will draw a card and do the same thing, and so on. When the 4th card is drawn and placed, the oldest card goes face up next to the deck and is considered scored. That's phase 1. In phase 2, we arrange the garden. The turning of the timer triggers phase 2, and now all players simultaneously will try to arrange their garden according to the constraints. At the start of the game, any player will start the garden in the center of the table. It must be from the top of your stack. As you add tiles, you have to make sure you do not pass the limit size of the garden, which is usually 6 by 6 tiles. You can also remove tiles. If you do, you will give the tiles to another player, but not on their stack, just in their personal supply. So during this phase, you can place and remove tiles in the garden. If all players feel like they are happy with the garden and don't need to place or remove tiles anymore, we move to phase 3, checking the garden. Here, each player will check their constraints cards and will announce if the king is angry or if the king is thrilled. If at least one player said that the king is angry, we must go back to phase 2 and try working on the garden again. If all players say the king is thrilled, the garden gets validated. If you are right and the garden is good, the round ends and a new round begins. The garden stays put, so you might have to start removing tiles before adding any. You're probably asking about the time. Well, the timer is a whole 15 minutes, which is the time limit for the entire game. When that runs out, the game ends and we score points. Each face-up card next to the deck is worth 1 point. If you discarded some constraint cards because they were too hard, they make you lose 1 point. This table will show you how well you did with the king depending on your score. And yes, this game can also be played solo, so try to beat your personal best when you can. The rulebook explains in details each of the constraint cards. Most of them have to do with tile placements, walkways, connections, making lines, specific shapes, etc. You will have a lot of fun discovering and figure out these constraints the more you play the game. And with only 15-minute games, you'll play a lot, and you should, since the game has a great replay value. We recommend playing with some Zen music to keep all the players focused and calm. After all, it is a gardening activity. Now, the copy we have is a pre-release version, so it might be a little different when you get your copy. I also want to mention that it's from the same people that did Magic Maze, so if you enjoyed that game, you should check out Gardeners. We're having a great time with this one, and we think you should check it out also. Subscribe now to our channel to stay in the loop. If you like our work, help us continue by sharing the channel to your gaming group. Thanks for watching and happy gaming.